Welcome! I'm so glad you tuned into learning more about young adult literature. Did you know that young adult literature is not just Harry Potter or Twilight, and it's not just limited to fiction or fantasy? Young adult literature is much more realistic in today's world. Young adult literature explores issues that our world is currently facing, including but not limited to systematic discrimination and racism, gender issues and gender inequality, poverty, climate change, political issues, and much more. There are many books available out there that you may not know about, but I'm going to tell you about two of those books today and how we can use our books and what the characters are going through to relate to ourselves in a deeper way, to relate to the world around us in a deeper way, and to actually make change. One book that does this is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. In this book, a black man is murdered by a white police officer. His friend, Justice McAllister, is white as well as the police officer and is framed for the murder of his friend. While awaiting his trial, he reads letters and words from Dr. Martin Luther King, hence the title, Dear Martin. This book tackles the systemic racism and police brutality that our world is facing very severely right now. This book can be turned into action and inspire you to make change and to educate yourself to learn how to be better. Some ways we can turn this into action is by making phone calls, signing petitions, using your voice. Particularly if you are white, you can use your privilege to speak out and to volunteer your time, to protest, to do anything that you see fit that can help and make a positive difference. Another title currently in today's society that can make a positive impact is Watch Us Rise by Renee Watson, and this book deals more with gender and racism. There are two girls, young high school girls, that want to start a women's rights club, and when they do, Chelsea is a white girl who writes poetry, and Jasmine is a black girl who discusses her experiences with racism. And that ultimately leads to backlash and the club getting shut down. So this novel takes you through the journey of how these two girls can fight to be heard, as the shutting down of their club is just one more reminder that women's voices are not heard. This can be very empowering for young readers of all genders. But the most important thing to remember is that this still exists in our world in multiple forms. The way that we can help is to speak out, to use our voices, and to learn about our rights, to learn about how our world is shaped by women and women in positions of power, and how we can empower other women so that we can tackle the issues of gender equality in our world today. These two examples allow us to understand that young adult literature is very powerful, and there are numerous titles that tackle what our world is going through. I find it interesting to read books that I can relate to and relate to our world, and I think you will too. I hope you can see that by reading and educating ourselves about other people's experiences, that we can become more able to speak out and fight out against these injustices within our society and when we encounter situations like this as well. Young adult literature seeks to make us better, to make us more knowledgeable about ourselves and our own world. I hope you pick up a book that deals with an issue currently going on in our world, and that you are inspired to make change. Don't forget, just because you are one person does not mean that you can't make a positive effect and contribution to our world. And it can start with a book.